Hello and welcome back. We are continuing with this series of the story of Hannah, and today I want us to look at another side of this story, and we see what happens. Now we've left, Hannah has gone home and she's no longer in anguish. She's so happy. Now the Lord has answered her prayers. She can see when her face now has brightened up, and now we'll see what happens after that, because the time we left, we found that Hannah became pregnant because the Lord remembered her, and so she became pregnant, gave birth to a son, and she named him Samuel, because she says that because I asked the Lord of him. And so today we continues with the story, and we see now God has done his part, and will Hannah fulfill her part? God has done his part, Will Hannah fulfill her part? God gave Samuel, remember what Hannah had said, that he had said that, Lord Almighty, if you only look on your servant's misery and remember me, and do not forget your servant, but give her a son, then I will give him to the Lord for all the days of his life. This is a big promise. And sometimes when you're going through tough times in life, this is very normal. And you're telling God, if you do this for me, I will do this. I will do this in return. And in most cases, let's believe, we don't keep that promise. But let's see if Hannah will keep her promise, and you learn what happens when you keep your promise to God. And so we continue from verse 21. And then when her husband Elkanah went up with all his family to offer the annual sacrifice to the Lord and to fulfill his vow, Hannah did not go. She said to her husband, after the boy is weaned, I'll take him and present him before the Lord, and he'll live there always. Hannah is so serious, guys. Hannah was serious. You can see she has, she has repeated the ones she said that she will give the boy to the child, the boy to God. And now he is telling his husband, wow, after the boy is weaned, I'll take him and represent him before the Lord, and he will live there always. And how can we get to this? Can we be so, dedicated to our promises? Can we be able to keep our promises to God and say, Lord, just as I've promised, I'll do it? And we can see faithfulness. We can see the faithfulness of this lady. She has remembered. And through this faithfulness, through this obedience, we see God in return. Maybe you'll not leave her empty-handed. You've been there crying to God, restore my business. If you restore my business, I'll be paying tithe. I'll be helping people. When you restore my marriage, I'll respect my spouse. I will not talk empty words. When you restore my children, I'll be there. I'll be there for them. I'll guide them in the right way. But when God does that, are you doing your part? And you see, and see what this Elkanah guy tells him, do what seems best to you. Her husband Elkanah told her. And we can see Elkanah he's not fighting about it, because he knows he didn't give Hannah this baby. This baby was given to Hannah by God. And so if Hannah decides to give the baby to the Lord, Elkanah is good with it. He has no problem with it. And he's telling Hannah, it's okay. Do what seems best. And for Hannah, what seems best to her is to do what he had promised God, and is to take the child to the house of God. And so the woman stayed at home. She didn't go because the child was young at that time, and when the baby was weaned, it was 3 years, guys, 3 years old, and Hannah will take the baby to the house of the Lord. Just imagine. That's a sacrifice. A sacrifice. That's a big sacrifice. 3-year-old. And you are taking because you've promised God. You promised God when you list this business, oh God. And you are looking into a business and you are saying, I'm just making, 1,000 shillings, profit. What can I give? The baby was taken when he was 3 years old. If you have 500 and you promised that when you get something, you will be giving back, give back. God is not interested with your money. He is interested with the promise. He is interested with your faithfulness. And that's why we see Hannah. The child is so small, you can even pity him. But but because she decided, she had made a vow to God. Yeah, she's saying, it's better I have that boy there with God instead of staying barren. And so today, you've been promising God, or you've promised God something. If you did this, Lord, I'll do this back to you, Lord. And you've not done it because you think the business, the margin is so small. The profit is not small. So small, there's nothing much to give. You have to give, and you are giving. It's a sign of obedience. It's not about the money. If you have that small, take a little amount and keep the promise you made to God. And so we can see now Hannah taking the boy to God and telling him that the boy that you gave is taking to the house of God, and he goes there and meets this guy, the Herikana, the Eli priest, and he tells him, I'm the woman who stand here beside you praying to the Lord. I prayed for this child and the Lord has granted me what I asked of him. So now I give him to the Lord for his whole life, and he will be given over to the Lord. And he worshipped the Lord there. Praise the name of the living God. Can you see a dedicated person? Can you see a person true to her words? It is not easy to part with a child. It is not easy, you know that. And I'm saying about, it's not even a boy who can do things. He can't even change his own clothes. He's 3 years. And because Hannah made a promise to God, and if he opened me, I think now Hannah is back. If he gave me this, I believe he can give more. He can give me more. And now after Hannah giving the child to God, now he is praising God. And he says, my heart rejoices in the Lord. In the Lord, my horn is lifted high. My mouth boasts over my enemies, for I delight in your deliverance. God has done it for me. Now the Peninnah woman who used to provoke her, God has silenced her. She has no one for Hannah. There's nothing she can do now. It is even now beyond her. She can only now watch and see what God does to the people he cares for. She can only watch and see what happens when God decides to open your doors. She can only watch and see what God does what happens when God decides to restore your health, when God decides to restore your foreign marriage, when God decides to restore your children. She can only watch from far. Even Erikana guy, I think he's still in confusion. This lady, she cried to God and God heard her, and you see the faith of every one of them, guys, is lifted. Because these are not just ordinary things. Praying to God and answering your prayers in the presence of your enemies. He says that he will set the table before your enemies. He will not bless you in secret. He will raise you up. I'm saying he will restore your business before your very own enemies who talked about you, who backbite you. And now they will see the mercies of God. They will see the goodness of God, who has raised you, who has lifted his grace upon you. Now whose love, his love is covering you and your family, and they will only be left pointing fingers and saying, wow, God has blessed them. God has remembered them. And now it will be your time to celebrate, as we see the life of Anna. And Anna, now God has remembered her. She's so happy. God has wept her tears forever and ever, because later in life, God will still bless her with other children. And the story of Hannah not having children, it will be a gone case. And so today I want to tell you, you've promised God so many things. whatever you said to God. I didn't say maybe I didn't say you'll give him your children, but you said you'll do something. Honor the promise you made to God. Honor the promise you made to God when you told him, if you restore my health, Lord, I'll serve you all the days of my life. Start and doing something small. It doesn't have to be something big. Maybe even sharing your testimony with someone else and tells them what God has done for you. It is more than enough. You are still preaching the gospel, telling others how God has restored your family, how God has restored your children. It's more than enough. Wake up and proclaim the gospel. Wake up and tell them what God can do. Maybe there's somebody who is so downcasted. There's somebody whose pain and life has broken. Tell them there's a God who brings hope. Tell them there's a God who builds. Tell them there is the purpose. That pain of Hannah, it made her to fight for her baby. It made her to have a close relationship with God. Don't waste your pain. Don't waste the provokes that you are getting from people. Instead, use them as fuel to cry to God. Use them as fuel to go to God and bring him or tell him all your troubles, because he cares and so he listens. And today, I want us to wake up. I want us to rejoice for what God has done for us. I want us to rejoice and keep the promises that we made to God. We promised we will do ABCD. Let's do it for the glory of his name. God is not after your anything. He is after your obedience. And so as we continue with this story, we'll still continue because it's a long story. And I would like us to look at something else. And I would like us to look what is the role of Peninnah in our lives. And what is this Peninnah? And what Peninnah has God put in your life? And so far, you've not realized her. What if you've been praying your Peninnah away? And Peninnah is meant to irritate you or make you to put that chance. So if you have been praying about your Peninnah to be taken out, or we'll be looking who or what is this Peninnah thing? And so from next time, we look into Peninnah's as a person, or Peninnah is that thing that is little deep in your life, in your heart, that you cannot pray away, but you have to know its role or its purpose in your life. And so let's continue in the next series while we look who is this Peninnah or what is Peninnah, and let's remember to do what we promised God will do, because when we worship, when we give God what we promised, his favor, that obedience, it opens other doors. It brings favor. It brings things we never expected. So remember to keep your promise to God. And remember, God has done it. It's time to celebrate. It's time to celebrate. And it's time for your enemies to see what the Lord has done or what he can do for you. Your enemies, now they are silent. Now they can only watch and see from a distance what God has done for you. And they will be the first even to give their testimonies. God has remembered her. We never thought this was possible, but somehow, some way, God remembered her, and they will testify for you. And so this morning, this time, rather, let's continue to trusting in this God. If you see somebody who is down, who don't know the way forward, share this with them. Tell them God is there and he's in the business of rebuilding what is broken in our lives. Thanks so much, and God bless you. See you next time. Remember to subscribe.